Tower cranes for use on construction sites. Within the crane group, which are apparatus that can lift loads suspended by a hook or by any other accessory and move them across the ground, we find the tower crane type. These are cranes with a hook that is suspended from the jib or from a trolley that travels along the jib or boom. The jib is mounted on top of a vertical tower. The lower part is joined to the base of the crane. These cranes, that are used at construction sites or for other applications, can be frequently assembled and disassembled, as well as being transported to other sites. How are they classified? With regards to mobility, we have fixed, supported, anchored. Mobile, on rails, climbing cranes. For the purpose of this presentation, we will always be referring to anchored tower cranes for construction sites, as they are the most commonly used type. Anchored tower cranes for construction sites. Let's get to know them better. Components. Anchorage area. Tower. Jib and counter jib. Counterweight, turntable and slewing platform, lifting hook, hoisting cable and trolley cable, crane motor system consisting of a motor that controls the hoisting cable drum and that permits the lifting and lowering of the load, a motor that controls the trolley cable drum, which permits the trolley to travel along the jib, and a motor that controls the slewing of the jib and counter jib via a pinion and crown gear mechanism. Characteristics. Reach. Horizontal distance between the directional axis of the jib and the vertical axis of the hook application with no load, the crane being mounted on level ground. Height below hook. Vertical distance between base of the crane and the center of the crane's hook at its highest position. Load and reaches chart. Chart or table that shows the loads the crane can handle at each hook position. Maximum load. The maximum amount of weight that can be lifted by the crane at its minimum reach. Load at jib end. The maximum amount of weight that can be lifted by the crane at jib end. Safety devices. Overload limiters. Load limiter. Safety device that prevents lifting loads heavier than the maximum permitted by the crane, either at high or low speeds. The device operates when the nominal maximum load permitted is exceeded by 10%. Load moment limiter. Safety device that prevents lifting or moving loads that exceed the nominal momentum of the crane. Travel limiters. Height limiter. Device that prevents the hoisting and lowering of hook over the pre-established limits, thus preventing the hook hitting the trolley or touching the ground. Travel limiter. Device that prevents the trolley from over-traveling the pre-established points on the jib. Slew limiter. Device that limits the number of turns that the turntable can slew in either direction, so that jib and counter jib power supply cables are not subjected to excessive torsion. Trolley cable breakage safety device. Mechanical safety device that stops trolley travel in case of trolley cable breakage. Crane on free slew. The slew brake is turned off when the crane is not being used, so that the jib can rotate freely, thereby offering least resistance to the wind. Wind speed device. Device that measures wind speed, an anemometer. The anemometer is connected to the signal warning device that emits an intermittent alarm sound when wind speeds reach 50 km per hour, and a continuous alarm sound when wind speeds reach 70 km per hour. Lifting hook safety latch. Safety latch that allows loads to be easily attached to the hook, but prevents them accidentally unhooking. Electrical safety measures. Differential circuit breaker, thermomagnetic circuit breaker, grounding straps, emergency stop. The crane operator. The crane operator is the person who has the knowledge and authorization to handle and operate the crane. This knowledge will be proven by means of the crane operator's license, whilst the authorization will be a document whereby the user of the crane authorizes a specific person to use a specific crane. Instruction manual. Before the crane operator uses the crane, he should read and understand the following sections of the crane instruction manual. Mechanisms related to height, direction, trolley movement, safety, periodic checklist. Working with a tower crane. Once the following documents have been checked: instruction manual, CE markings, declaration of conformity, documents relating to the crane's installation, the authorized crane operator can begin to use the crane, always taking into account the following guidelines: daily checks, visual checks, state of the crane base, vertical angle of the crane tower, no losses in counterbalance weights, good state of electrical cabling, good state of grounding straps. Operation. Disconnect the free slew brake. Operation of starting switch. Operation of emergency stop. Operation of each control with no load. Operation of the brakes. Check operation of load limiters. Maximum load. Using available materials at the construction site, the crane is loaded with its nominal maximum load. It should be capable of lifting this load. The load is then increased by 10%, thus overloading the maximum nominal load. The crane should not be able to move the load. Jib end load. Using available materials at the construction site, the crane is loaded with its nominal maximum load at jib end. It should be capable of lifting this load. The load is then increased by 10%, thus overloading the maximum nominal jib end load. The crane should not be able to move the load. Checking of travel limiters. Height limiter. The hook should not exceed the pre-established limits. Travel limiter. the trolley should only travel within its maximum and minimum limits. Slew limiter. It will block more than 3 rotations in any direction. The crane is now ready for use. The hook application will be chosen according to load. This time we will use a pallet clamp, which is introduced into the pallet with the help of another operator, the crane assistant. The load is then lifted at slow speed, microdrive, going on to faster speed and then reducing speed, finally delivering the load at slow speed. After work is finished, the following procedures must take place. Hoist the hook to its maximum height with no load attached. Bring the trolley near to the tower. Put the crane on free slew. Forms to be filled in. There are 2 official report forms. Daily report form. This is only filled in on the day a fault is detected. Monthly report check form. This will be filled in according to the scheduled monthly dates as indicated on the form. Danger zones. The usual danger zones are electrical high voltage lines. The nearest a crane can be to a high tension cable is 5 meters if the voltage is not greater than 380,000 volts, and 7 meters if the voltage is equal to or greater than 380,000 volts. Proximity of other cranes. When 2 or more tower cranes in the same vicinity can possibly collide with each other, means should be established to prevent such accidents, for example, by using an anti-collision system. Others. If the crane is installed near to an airport, the crane should be painted red and white with the corresponding obstruction warning lights. Forbidden operations. It is strictly forbidden to swing loads, to transport people, to lift a load at an angle, to lift fixed loads, to lift loads over the permitted maximum height, to suspend loads over personnel, to leave loads hanging from the hook without the crane operator being present.